Can I Not Marry audio web novel Chapter 7 Mom and Dad's defection. The president felt he was superior. He didn't directly ask for Du Lacey's views and have decided to hold the wedding, which made her quite dissatisfied. She can marry, but she didn't sell herself. How come she didn't have the right to speak? Thus, Du Lacey decided to protest to the president. The location of the protest was at the president's study, because at that time there's no one else present besides the president, it's more easy to start. So that day when the president returned from the company and entered the study, Du Lacey secretly followed behind him. What are you doing? Very quickly Lian Jun found a stalker sneaking behind him. Merely one sentence pushed aside the words Du Lacey prepared to say into thin air. This, can I not? If you have something to say it quickly. Facing the president's such sharp eyes, Du Lacey's heart was firm. I have something to say. Oh. Lian Jun squinted his eyes. Come in. Du Lacey followed by the president into the study. She was confused with the layout of the room in front of her. How can this be called a study? There's a TV and even a treadmill. It's just like a multi-functional bedroom. She was observing immensely when the president suddenly coughed. Du Lacey regained her conscience. Seeing the suit hanging there, she was stunned for 2 seconds, before she suddenly realized she had come at the time the president was changing. Du Lacey was grief-stricken. She came here to protest. How come she feels like a servant who came to take the washing away? Du Lacey was angry, so angry that she left his suit on the side. But soon Du Lacey would regret it, because the president's killer eyes came swinging over with the suit that was on the ground. That moment Du Lacey finally, after much difficulty, extinguished all the arrogance she accumulated. Impulse is the devil. The president in front of her has turned into a devil. So Du Lacey used her dog legs to quickly pick up the suit from the ground. While bending over she joked, President, your suit's quality is good. It fell on the floor and there's not even a stain of dust. Lian Jun turned around and asked, what's the matter? It was only when the president asked, did Du Lacey remembered she came here to discuss proper business. So she put on a fearless look with her chest and head high and said, I don't want to hold a wedding ceremony. As she finished speaking, she secretly glanced at the president, but she was hit by a pair of deep eyes staring at her thoughtfully. Receiving the president's glazes, Du Lacey could not help but feel flustered. This silence, like the calm before the storm. There seems to be something ready to happen. However, the president wasn't angry. He looked back and said in a billow voice, Why? Why? The president has asked so suddenly. Du Lacey lowered her head and was taken by surprise. Thinking for a long time, she weakly replied, a wedding is a major event. You didn't ask for my opinion and decided yourself. I think this is very disrespectful towards me. Didn't I already ask for your advice? The president suddenly asked. Du Lacey wondered. You did. Didn't I ask you whether you wanted a Western or Chinese-style wedding? Greater than Du Lacey felt awkward. President Jian, that's not asking for others' opinion, you imparity clause. Anyway, I don't want to have a wedding. Besides, we didn't really get married. There's no need for the wedding ceremony to be so grand. And I feel like we don't have any feelings. She said to this point and couldn't continue further. That's right. In fact, Du Lacey was like many other women. She still had full of hopes towards weddings. If it's simply attaining a marriage license, she can lie to herself that this wasn't real. But going through with the wedding ceremony, you can feel the genuineness of it. It's not the same. Although Du Lacey is foolish, but she wouldn't seal her only way out. You mean, you want us to develop affections first? Ah. When Du Lacey finally had time to react, a shadow stood over her. She didn't know when Lian Jun stood in front of her. Their distance was close enough for her face to touch his chest. Du Lacey panicked and quickly waved. I didn't mean it like that. Her hand was suddenly caught. Wasn't this your intentions? What does that mean? The president's voice was deep, dignified and sexy. His very large hands tightly wrapped around her wrist, passing a steady flow of body heat. Having the president's chest in such close proximity, she noticed his sporadic male-specific scent, and his cologne also drifted to her nose, disrupting her normal thoughts. Du Lacey suddenly became slightly breathless. Her heart cried out, "Not like this. Not like this." But she didn't say it out loud, because the president's aura was too powerful, so powerful that she nerve short-circuit and felt disoriented. "Speak. What do you mean?" Lian Jun approached closer and profoundly stared at her, as if he could see through her. In such a vision, Du Lacey finally felt defeated. "I mean, a Western-style wedding is good." Frown. 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 "Yes. This person's frown can squeeze dead a mosquito is our pitiful and tragic heroine, Du Lacey. Just a few minutes ago, she was an independent youth woman of the new era, who yielded under the president's obscenity and who thus readily agreed to such rude wedding demands. This also wasn't the most oppressed thing. The most depressing thing of all was listening to the old madame's insatiable cries to meet her in-laws. Du Lacey felt that the whole thing had developed in a direction she had not wanted to see. "Mom." Du Lacey held the mobile phone. Her mood was extremely low. "You unfilial daughter." Du Mama began shouting. "You finally remembered this mother of yours Speak. How long since you last called this mother of yours? You're playing too crazy outside. Does your heart have? Mom. I got married." Du Mama said impatiently. "What, wed or not wed? I asked you a question. What do you say? You got married." So Du Mama ended the call and traveled by train overnight to a city with Du Papa. At this time Du Lacey have not worn the wedding dress. Once her mom and dad arrives, Du Lacey will no longer feel she's alone, judging by her mom's temper. If she knew their daughter were oppressed by others, she will instantly become a Super Saiyan, and battle the president 300 rounds. Just the thought of this, Du Lacey hurriedly opened the door. Unexpectedly, upon opening the door, it turned out to be the president, followed by Du Mama laughing and talking. "Dad. Mom. You guys." Du Lacey was about to speak, but why has the president came home with her parents? She clearly sent the driver to pick them up. Say no more. Once Du Mama saw her daughter, she was in a good mood. Jun have explained to me. You may rest assured that as long as you are willing, we as parents are not against it. Jun. Du Lacey was embarrassed. Mom, aren't you being a little too familiar too soon? The president, who was standing on the side, smiled and added, "Thank you, father and mother-in-law." "Oh, old man, you see how sensible our son-in-law." Du Mama was sent to tears. Yes, yes. Du Papa looked at his son-in-law and also repeatedly nodded. Facing the two old benign countenances' face, Du Lacey suddenly felt like she was missing something. Her eyes moved to the president's side and caught the sly twinkle in his eyes. Suddenly, Du Lacey's heart thumped. She's done. Mom and Dad have changed sides.